Hi, I'm Ed Grosko with Integrated Wealth Management here in Uniontown, Ohio. Our specialty is helping clients retire well and make an impact with their lives. Today I have one of our good clients and friends, John Peer, with me. John has spent a year-long process with us, and I wanted John to share how that's been for him. And so, John, tell us about you, your past, where you've come from, and where you are today.
Good morning, Ed.
Good morning.
To be here.
Good to be here.
So, I was born and raised in a small town in upstate New York called Rome. I got to Ohio to come to college. I attended Walsh University for 4 years, graduated with a degree in finance, and started with one of the biggest companies in Akron, Ohio, and spent 43 plus years with them. I've had 20 jobs with the company. My wife and I moved 12 times. Lived in 9 different homes. We're now settled in Medina, Ohio. We have 3 children, one in Chicago, one in Perrysburg, Ohio, and one in Maryland. And we have 4 great grandchildren.
It's fantastic.
And we're just loving life.
Yeah, you got a lot to do with all those kids.
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
That's awesome. Tell us about the whole decision process. I mean, you 43 years, and now you're coming up to this point that's boiling into your mind and heart probably, and tell us about that.
Okay, so as you know, all the discussions we had, I think it just came down to it's time. I turned 65 years old in June of 2014. And I just felt after 43 years, traveling the nation, doing a lot of traveling on planes, that it hasn't gotten any better, it's gotten worse. It's time to spend more time with my family, with my friends, and traveling in the United States of America and seeing places that actually I hadn't seen yet.
Wow.
So that's what we're going to do, and we've started to do already.
Yeah.
So it's been fun.
Kind of call it I call it the second half, after you've been so useful for so many years, and we're at hopefully the wisest point in our lives. And we've learned a lot about people, life, and now, wow, you've got a lot of things ahead of you that are going to be great with your kids and family and others. But what was the most unsettling, when before the decision was finally stamped, what really was unsettling to you, if you can?
Probably the most unsettling thing was how was I going to tell the team that I was with for over 5 years that I'm out of here.
Okay.
And when to do it, how to do it, and all that probably was the most frustrating thing to me, because I was so passionate about what I did. But it came perfectly, and with a little prayer and faith in what I was going to do, and a little help from others, we made the decision, and we did it about 6 months before I left the company.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Openly and honestly in front of the whole team at a national conference.
Okay.
So it worked well.
So the whole planning process. So you're a planner. I know you well enough now to know how you like to have everything in a row. And you're good at that. That was your whole life.
Right.
So we had a good year anyway. So describe a little bit about that whole year. Maybe it was unsettling. What were the highs, the lows? What did you feel when you were going through it?
Actually, it was probably more than a year, but the last year was the most analytical and succinct. But I thought about this, and I'm saying, when did this all really start? And it dates back, believe it or not. The planning process for retirement for me really started in 1983 with a boss I had at the time that sat down with me when our company first came out with a 401k plan and says, look, you put in the max you can put in and don't stop, and you will never miss it. But the process that we went through was fantastic, because we actually got into the nitty-gritty of all the investments I had made over all these moves, making friends with other people, and I probably, as you know, got too diversified in my investments, and we needed to consolidate.
Yeah.
But the process went excellent. I mean, there was frustrations on your part and my part, but I think all in all, it's worked very well.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I mean, we see clients all the time that have lots of things. You know, we use this concept of a puzzle. You know, when you look at your financial life, it's really, there's a lot of puzzle pieces.
Oh, yeah.
In your case, with, you know, your role, you've got all the puzzle pieces at your company that you were with. You also have puzzle pieces financially, personally, that you've put in place over all the years.
Right.
You know, and you know, you got all these pieces and parts, and then what we find is, you know, trying to take all this, you know, 43 years of work, you know, and effort and commitment and all the resources, and it's great to have a boss like you had. I mean, we all would love to have a mentor like that that says, just put the money away. You know, it's
Right.
one thing Americans don't do well.
Right.
But that's a fantastic thing, and now you look back and you reap the dividends of that.
Absolutely.
So now you take these puzzle pieces and say, wow, how do I take all this and turn it into a lifetime of income? So tell me a little bit about how that feels. You know, so you've worked, you've done well, you've had a, you know, a regular income. Life was 43 years of this. Of course, a lot of change, but 43 years of steadiness, and then the income, boom, working income at least, stops. Tell us about that. How did you feel about that transition?
Well, I think the biggest thing to get used to was not getting a check every 2 weeks.
Okay.
And then plan, and utilize all your resources that your company has to show us how we can take all the savings that we made over these 43 years and turn that into a good, solid plan for the rest of our lives, with the ability to do what we want to do and do it when we want to do it, and just be able to enjoy life. Thankfully, we have good health, and now we can do what we want to do when we want to do it. But the planning process and your systems and your new website and everything else has been very beneficial going forward to enable us to see what we're doing, when we're doing it, and how it's going to come to fruition on a monthly basis when the time to use those funds is needed.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah. What was unsettling, if any, you know, during that year? You know, I mean, again, you're analytical, I'm analytical, you know, we're perfectionists, I think, to some degree. So, but you know, what are some things that...
Oh, probably the only unsettling thing was some of the conversations we had about when we were moving some of the funds from one account to another account and trying to balance it, and checks and balances, and the dollars are here and then they're over here and now they're here, but everything really worked out well.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Well, that's what
we're blessed.
It's yeah, we are. I mean, it's sort of, I call it this process of transition. A little bit of it's a little messy. You know, it's bumpy because
Right.
you got to get from here to here, and then now get into you know, a reasonable comfort zone and a pattern where now it's in a new position, new place, and you can go about your day. You know,
Go about my day.
Monitor what's going on.
Right.
Let me tell you, I wanted to share a little bit about the process for me as an advisor. I think it's important for the audience to hear what an advisor is looking for, what makes your retirement process ideal, in my opinion, and then what makes it ideal for us. And really, if it's not ideal for you, it's not any good for us, for sure.
Right.
So what makes it ideal for you? Being a coachable guy, you know, you came into the process, and you've learned that in your business life, that
Right.
if you surround yourself with good people, and you determine whether you can believe in them and trust them, you test the waters, and once you do that, you take their advice.
Right.
And you were a great student, if you will.
Okay.
You followed the process. It was fun for us. I love to educate.
Right.
And that was, you were always willing to learn, and we never mind questions.
Right.
And we're not perfect, and you know, and again, it's messy sometimes.
Right.
But that, for one, is, you know, being a teachable, coachable client. That's huge. Not trying to do it on your own, other than just making sure you knew what was going on.
Right.
So teachable, coachable, pliable to a degree, meaning allowing yourself to be led.
Right.
You know, and again, that speaks to the years and years of your job and what you've done.
Right.
We know when it's time to follow someone, and that is the best scenario for us because it lets us loose, if you will, to be creative and do what we can do. We're not looking over our shoulders.
Exactly.
We've had clients that sometimes try to get in the middle of the process, or you know, and it basically hurts everyone because we're looking over our shoulders, worried that, golly, is this going to be just the right thing? Because none of us going to feel good for a while.
Exactly.
But we know it will. We've already been down this road many times. So that's been a great thing for us. So we like to tell our audience that, if you have an advisor you're working with, rely on that person if you trust them. And again, maybe you need to interview other folks, to get a concept of how they operate. One thing we've never done is try to sell clients products. It'd be like going to the doctor and need a surgery, and the doctor gets the knife out suddenly, and you're on the operating table before an X-ray is taken. That happens. We're financial services folks sell products, and then ask questions later. Well, that's not going to work for
Right.
you, and if it doesn't work for you, it'll never work for us. We've been around 30 years, and we've got happy people.
Right.
And we want a lot of happy clients that enjoy their lives. When you enjoy your life, wow, the temperature in the office here is pretty good too.
Right.
So, tell us some things. Coach us a little bit on, after the process took a year, perhaps, or more than a year with
right,
us.
right.
Tell us now how you feel, and again, it's still a little bit soon, or after the process is over, but what are some of the benefits that you have felt and experienced by going through this process that you took to make this happen?
Well, the biggest thing is that I'm very stress-free.
Okay.
I'm very confident that what we have in place will work.
Mm-hmm.
And the most beneficial thing is that I'm not going to lose any sleep over this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Good.
very comfortable. I think that with your help and guidance, and that we were going through this process for a year, and I was kind of pitting you against another advisor that I had worked
Mm-hmm.
with for years.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it came down to the fact that I was comfortable with you and your team and confident. And most importantly, I had 100% trust in you and what you brought to the party.
Yeah, well, thank you.
So-
Yeah, it's been fun, and those are the best relationships.
Right.
We just build on trust. Good. So, well, thank you so much, John. Any other final comments that you would think of at all?
Other than I would just recommend everybody take a lot of time to plan,
Okay.
listen, rather than talk a lot.
Okay.
And then do your due diligence from a standpoint of making sure that you know what you're going to need going forward as a family to retire in these days and times of a lot of change out there in the marketplace and in the atmosphere within our country.
Okay. Great. Well, I really appreciate this time. It's been a great process. This has been fun. This has been a great example of how a quality retirement planning process works. Thanks, John.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Ed.
it. Yeah. You
Have
bet.
a great day.
Yep. You too. Thank you.
Right.